Hello. Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Oldskool Pat.
Dancehall Neil.
And we are bringing you back a 14th episode of Vinyl with Taste. And this time, we are taking on the whole country of Jamaica. Jamaican music from the beginning. And this is something me and Neil had talked about doing last week, and we were both excited to bring this stuff to you. And we pulled all the stuff out of our respective collections.
Well, we pulled some of it. You know, this is a short show.
Yeah, it's true. We're going to try and get it all in 35 minutes or what have you.
Yes, try to.
But, so let's take it back. The year is 1962, and the country of Jamaica is celebrating its independence from the United Kingdom. And ska music is playing everywhere, and the whole country is in a celebratory mood. And did this ska just come out of nowhere, and it was just all there that year? No, obviously not. You know, ska came from all the influences that preceded it. And in the country of Jamaica, probably we could say the beginnings of Jamaican music would be the folk music of that country. And folk music came from religious revivals like Pocomania, and it came from church in Jamaica. And a lot of it was recorded, but later on, after other musical forms had come out of Jamaica, but it was recorded, the folk music I'm talking about. Neil, I think, he pulled a really good example of what I'm talking about.
Yes, from the grassroots. Show the back cover of that. So you got some revivalist stuff on here. You got like Ring Plays, Mento, work songs, and I guess folk stuff. Early Rastafarian stuff. Like Nambling drumming and stuff like that. I like it. I like to pull it and listen to it every now and again. It's a pretty cool album. And speaking on that, I found these came out on CD in 2007, where it's Jamaican cult music.
Oh, nice.
And the Bongo, Bakra, and Cooley, Jamaican Roots Volume 2. And this is just like a lot of like Baptist, like revivalist Zion stuff. Probably more than anything on here. Drum music. It's this is actually old stuff. I think these originally came out in well, this one I guess originally came out in 54. This is 75. But the stuff the material is older, and it's a little, and you know, it's a lot of field recording type stuff, so it's kind of harsher.
Yeah. The From the Grassroots album that you were talking about, I think, was recorded by Edward Seago when he was young and way before he was the Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Yeah, and it's got like his notes and stuff.
Sweet. Well, the actual first recorded music from Jamaica was Mento. Mento, sometimes been called the Jamaican Calypso.
Sure, this Mento guy.
But it's really a style of music all on its own. And actually, like all of the Mento that I own, I got off of Neil. You know, stuff like Lord Composer and the Silver Seas, and everybody's name is Lord on this thing. You know? Lord Messam and his Jamaican Mento.
That was the trendy you know, musical name for people. Well, here's some LPs. We got Lord Flea.
Oh, nice.
So that's cool. I really like this one. It is Mento. They do use calypso a lot, just to, I think, appeal to like American audiences. That they're, you know, they know, or they knew what calypso was, not necessarily Mento. You know, everybody knew what calypso was. It's Trinidadian counterpart. That's a good one. It's a lot of stuff. So I'll just show like a couple of LPs or whatever, and some different examples. Lord Fudos. This is a good one. This is it's a weird, the weird cover, but I don't know. I picked it up anyway. I imagine that it's still, um, you know, and a lot of the times you see a lot of the Mento standards. A lot of the tracks repeat, like everybody does, like Farewell Jamaica and Deo. They do. Well, this is cool because it doesn't really have that. They do a couple standards on here. Let's see what Lord Flea does. If he does anything that you keep hearing. No, a lot of these are originals. That's cool. Here's a little bit more. I don't know when this came out. I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find anything. But it's straight up Mento. The name of the album is Big Bamboo.
Oh, nice.
The Hiltonaries. So yeah, see, they do Jamaica Farewell here too. They Island in the Sun. Skipping forward just a little bit. I know I don't want to be like too out of order, but it's a lot of material. Larry and the Mento Boys, who started later, I think they started like in the '60s, just as like a hotel band.
Oh, nice.
This,
like Dolly Boys.
yeah. This was recorded in probably the freaking 2000s. This CD came out on Pad's Records in 2013, where they do a version of Big Bamboo here as well. Jamaica Farewell is also on here. You see, a lot of these songs keep coming up because the Mento bands would all do these songs.
Right.
My favorite on here is Love in the Cemetery. That's a really cool one.
I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I got a lot of compilations. This is probably my favorite one. This is 2 double disc. It's got like stuff you always see: Lord Flea, Lord Fly, the Wigglers, Count Lasher. Chin's Sextet. That's my favorite. Probably my favorite is Chin's Sextet, and then the Wigglers, which I guess I could show you that there. They put like a bunch of like old shellac records into this compilation here for the Wigglers. This was put out. What country did this come out in? I don't know, but it's cool. It's cool. I got this I think last year. That's a cool one. Couple of other cool compilations, and a lot of the tracks repeat on the compilations, but to get them all, you kind of have to get like every compilation. This is the first one I got, Mento Madness. You got this one. 18 Tracker. Healing in...
One of those is the one I got up.
Sure. Yeah, Healing in the Bombyard. Love that track. And then these two. This is, what is this? Jamaica is the Place to Go. Double disc. This one, what is this one? The Original Sound of Jamaica, Mento, Not Calypso. That's a good one. Also a double disc. So right there you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 CDs of the old stuff. And then just kind of... This is a cool one. This one is Monty Reynolds and his Silver Seas Orchestra original. Came out in the 50s on the MRS label.
Oh, wow, nice.
It's a little 10-inch fella. It was a bummer because I did not have the original 10-inch cover.
Right.
But it's like a $200 record. Like if you have it like with the cover, and I'm not. I ain't got all that. And just to show like an example of my favorite, it was Chin's Sextet. I have Industrial Affair, 45. I know it's hard. Some of the labels have worn, but they're old records. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I like how like on the top of it says Chin's Radio and TV on the top.
Yeah. Oh, nice. So right out of the repair shop where they were.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. Lord Creator, Remember Ma and Pa on the Creative Calypso label, is it? Yeah, Creative Calypso label, and Independent Jamaica.
Oh, nice.
So that's a cool one. I really like that one. I'm gonna take it. Blah blah blah. Okay, I'm gonna take it over to you, Pat. But I wanna.
Sure thing. I think that it's really cool that you have that really early Jamaican material. I don't know anybody else personally that has quite the extensive collection that you have of it. And I think it's really cool.
Theo Beckford.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got him coming up too.
This Studio One, 1959, with Easy Snapping, and then
Nice.
the gay lads take up the B side at the Slipping and Sliding. I believe it's Slipping and Sliding that they do because see the back it wore off, so I don't know. I think it's Slipping and Sliding. I think that's a 50s track from them, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so we've talked about Jamaican folk music and also mento. Other big influences on Jamaican music were Afro-Cuban music, like the rumba or bolero, the mambo, Black American music, like big band swing,
blues, jump blues.
Yeah. Later on, it was R&B, especially New Orleans R&B, with the smaller bands rather than the full-on orchestras that they had before. But starting in the late 1940s, and certainly by the mid 1950s, the sound systems came to rule Jamaica. The sound systems that came with DJs, like the original DJ Cal Machuki, King Stitt that worked for Coxsone Dot.
Yep.
And the kind of music they played, well, you'd have to get compilations like Dancehall 63 to hear it. Do you have that with you?
Yeah.
I have it on CD.
Mr. The original music is straight up ska, but he recorded his stuff over here when the 90 something. He recorded the vocals over top.
He did. It was recorded later on, but it was done in the style that they would have done at the dances of the period.
You see it like Cox and Dodd on a lot of these, Paradise Plum, Iron Bar, The Shock, Four Corners, On the Beach, Scandal.
Yeah, great stuff. Great material. The DJs like Machuki and King Stitt in those days didn't totally dominate the song. That is, they didn't toast a rap over the whole thing. They sort of just tried to add more excitement.
Or add some like jive lyrics or sounds.
Yeah.
But that's got to later. That's
right. So the sound systems at that time were playing a lot of United States R&B records.
R&B and blues.
The big three sound systems that ruled the 1950s Jamaica were Coxsone Dodd's sound, which was called downbeat, Duke Reed, his sound, and Vincent King Edwards. Again, you're not going to get any material from this period like a live dance, like you could see like what a sound clash would take place. But there are CDs like Sir Coxsone and Duke Reed in concert at Foresters Hall.
Yeah.
Which would show you a selection of the music that, which I think I have that one on disc, but I think you have it on LP, don't you, Neil?
Yeah, I didn't know that was on CD. I'd never seen that before. I don't know. I probably would have got the CD, but we are vinyl with taste, so.
Right.
Here's I didn't see that.
Yeah. So all these dance hall, the people that ran the sound system, like Coxsone Dodd and Duke Reed, they had loyal fans, and so if you were a fan of downbeat, then you wouldn't go to downbeat's dance one weekend and then Duke Reed's dance the next weekend, because the fans were. It was kind of like American football fans or British soccer fans or something.
Absolutely.
Later on, Prince Buster started his own sound system. He had started out as a Coxsone supporter, but starting in 1959, Prince Buster, his sound was called Voice of the People, and later on, it became one of his record labels, Voice of the People. But when R&B started crossing over in the U.S. to the white teenage rock and roll of the time, the Jamaican population did not follow suit. Mm-hmm. They preferred more of the fast boogie shuffles, and the ballads of the R&B. So they started recording their own.
Yep.
And the emphasis shifted to the afterbeat on these recordings. The afterbeat being the hallmark of all later Jamaican music, like that. The emphasis on the afterbeat. Prince Buster recorded it. The first examples that are generally agreed upon as the accepted, with the afterbeat would be Eric Monty Morris's his song Humpty Dumpty. Prince Buster's own They Got to Go was recorded at the same session. But at this point, Jamaican R&B starts turning into ska with the pronounced afterbeat. And by 1961, Jamaican music was fully transformed into ska music.
We'll show this example of Jamaican R&B with Jackie Edwards, Wilfred Jackie Edwards. I just got that like last week, but it's definitely a good example of Jamaican R&B, which did not last long anyway. So it was a very small, tiny footnote, I think, in Jamaican music, because things went to ska pretty quickly.
Yeah, they did.
And speaking of
Coxsone Dodd, he had a Studio One label in operation by 1962.
Yep.
Duke Reed, he had 3 labels by that time: Treasure Isle, Duchess, and Trojan, which Trojan was Duke Reed's nickname, and Trojan, of course, became a very famous record label later on.
And we'll talk. Probably Lee Perry will come up time and time again, but some of his ska works is on Chicken Scratch as a compilation. This is the original one, the Studio One, Heartbeat. They a few years later they redid this. This has got like 12 tracks. They redid this with nearly 20 a few years after I got this one.
That is the super young Lee Scratch.
Yeah, he looks
for Studio One Coxsone Dodd right there. Yeah.
He looks so different,
He does. Yeah, Prince Buster had at least 5 record labels at that time, like the aforementioned Voice of the People. Who were these producers recording? In Jamaica, they had R&B singers. They had the 15-year-old Derek Morgan, who won his first talent show against Eric Monty Morris and Owen Gray and Jackie Edwards by imitating Little Richard. They had Laurel Akins, who recorded with a Canadian band and did a song called Boogie in My Bones. That was really popular in Jamaica.
So that would be a good one to talk about this collection here, which is Laurel Atkin, pioneer of Jamaican music. He's got it's the first 5 or 6 tracks is definitely in a mento style, absolute mento. And then they say like Jamaican R&B and calypso and ska, but here's how it goes. So somebody who knows listening to this, like say the first 6 tracks are mento, and he takes it all the way down to track 25 in a ska style. So it's a little mento, and then it just goes in a ska style, like all the way to the last track. It's a good collection.
I have Jackie Edwards pulled.
Yes.
He was another singer around this period. The compilation that I have was put out by Treasure Records. It's called Paradise. But it does have a lot of this 50s output, and Edwards was he wrote most of his own songs, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and that he wasn't just a voice.
Yeah. I heard he wrote for rock bands later on, including Traffic.
Really, I did not know that. That's news to me. That's wild.
Back in the day, Jackie Edwards was considered a good cover singer for Nat King Cole.
That's nuts.
In the R&B era, you had Coxsone Dodd and Duke Reed and Prince Buster dominating things. And you had the boogie, like you mentioned Theo Beckford, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, the 45.
And Lord Creator, I think you brought him up as well. I have a Lord Creator best of compilation called "Don't Stay Out Late." Greatest hits.
Yeah, that's I got that too. But show it to the people.
All right.
Is that yeah? How many tracks are on that there, Pat?
The CD has 17.
Nice.
And he has songs on here that I love, like my favorite one. "Don't Stay Out Late's great, of course. such as like Forever and Ever. That's my favorite Lord Creator song. Is Forever and Ever. Very romantic song. You know, Lord Creator was covered later on by groups like UB40, who had a massive hit from his song Kingston Town, and with the royalties they made off that record, they gave some to Lord Creator, and he was able to buy a house with Jamaica.
Well, you could tell like pop groups like UB40 and Simply Red love Jamaican music. You know, they listen to it. You know what I mean? They're into it. But you know, we can't talk about this period without talking a little bit of Stranger Cole.
Oh yeah,
he was a great singer. So I got this one is what is this? This is nothing tried. The again, these are old records, so sometimes they don't have labels on them.
Right.
But you know, he's a fantastic singer, still kicking.
Yeah.
He has an Instagram. I think everybody should follow him on Instagram.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he seems to be still pretty cool, still kicking, doing his thing, singing. You know.
Yeah. In 1958, Prince Buster recorded a group called the Folk Brothers, and they did a song called "Oh Carolina," which was one of the first recordings of Count Ossie, master Rastafarian drummer. And years later after that, I was able to buy a Count Ossie CD called Remember.
Yeah, hold that up there. Let's check that out. Let's check that a little higher. There we go. That's a good. See, I like that that record because you know, you look at it, you know, you read something, you read the track listing on it, you think like somebody that might not be familiar with it, they're thinking they're gonna have like a rocker style rhythms from '75, and you listen to it, it's ska, it's straight up ska with some but nambling drumming over top.
Yep.
And Rastafari, you know, like all over the. It seems to be like probably one of the earliest examples of that in their contemporary music at that time. That included Rastafarian. It's a neat record to hear the bongo drumming over top of the ska. It's really neat.
I do. I love it, and you know that sound is so distinctive. It goes all through. It continues through the '70s roots and everything. That drumming, that's started right there, at least on recordings.
So when talk about when a lot of those tracks were originally released, the Count Ossie.
You're talking the early '60s, 61, 62, 63.
So that's a super early example of the Rasta influence in contemporary music.
Yeah.
Because early on, Cox and Duke Reach, they didn't want any of that in the music.
That's true.
They fought against it.
They did not want the Rasta element coming around at all. You're right. They already had to deal with musicians smoking in the studio and stuff, and some people, like, you know, sound system operators I mentioned before, couldn't handle that. Duke Reed, he had a house band, which eventually became a Jamaican supergroup called the Scatolites. Back when you were just playing for Duke Reed, you know, they already had Don Drummond, they already had Roland Alfonso, Ernest Ranglin, and Johnny Dizzy Moore. And so you have that group established by late 1960, and ska was here. You know, ska was in Jamaica, and you know, me and Neil, we pulled out some of this stuff to show you too. Like the first thing I have pulled out would be, it was a Yap Brothers production. They ran the Top Deck label in Jamaica, and they did a series of compilations called Ska Down Jamaica Way, which are all excellent compilations. Here, I'll show you. Here's Volume 5 right here. Ska Down Jamaica Way. The whole series is very worthwhile.
Bring that down a little bit more so we can check that out. All right. Nice.
Yeah. The Top Deck label. Prince Buster was releasing stuff like I Feel the Spirit around that time. Desmond Decker starts doing his first recordings around that time. I've got a Desmond Decker CD. I'm sure that Neil probably has some vinyl.
Well, let's see what you got.
I got the Best of Desmond Decker on Rhino Records.
Nice. I got this one's right in front of me. I got the Israelites. Got 20 tracks. You know.
Yeah.
Early tracks. And did we talk about the best of Don Drummond yet?
No, but I can certainly show you that one. That's this is one of my Studio One vinyls that I'm really happy to have. If can you guys see that?
Let me bring that close in. Yeah, and that's LP, right?
Yeah, that's vinyl.
Nice. Very nice.
And it's got classics on there like Eastern Standard Time, The Heavenless Rhythm Starts Here, School in the Duke, Elevator Rock. Yeah.
I like that. I would suggest it. I know Pat would too. It's a really good one.
Yeah.
And the good thing about getting compilations, like we were talking about Desmond Decker's compilations, is Jamaicans have always really been into singles. So I mean, if you got an early Desmond Decker compilation, you got like 20 singles.
Oh yeah.
You got 20 A sides. So I mean, it's worth it. It's just different,
Yeah. Absolutely. This period, you see singers like Derek Morgan releasing records, the early Maytals, Toots Hibbert Maytals, the early Wailers when they were under Coxstone at Studio One. Like we mentioned, Lee Scratch Perry, early Delroy Wilson, which stuff like Dancing Mood and I Shall Not Remove. I pulled I Shall Not Remove. That's some really old. Look how young Desmond Decker is here. I don't know if you can see him, but he's young. I mean, he was the child star back then. Delroy Wilson.
I feel like in Jamaican music there was always like a child star, like Dennis Brown, and even now. I pulled out, speaking of Trojan, I pulled out the compilation Young, Gifted, and Black,
Nice.
which came with the book, and it has like early stuff from the Maytals, Pioneers, Ethiopians, Dave, early Ken Booth. Bob Andy's on there. Share the book just to hold that up.
Nice.
So I got that at the Book Warehouse. What was that place called?
Atlantic?
Yeah. I haven't thought about that place in a minute.
Yeah. It was nice. Back when there were bookstores.
Yeah.
That weren't at you didn't have to go to the big mall to go to the bookstore.
And it was huge, like a warehouse.
Yeah. I pulled out my Roland Alfonso CD.
Roland Alfonso.
All Studio One tracks, put together by Heartbeat. A really nice CD tribute to Roland Alfonso, who was the saxophone player of the Scatolites.
Scatolites, yeah.
I pulled Ska Authentic, volumes 1 and 2, which are really hard. They're Studio One, so you can only get these from Studio One directly. They don't sell at the mall. I pulled my favorite ska album by the Scatolites, which is Skaboo Da Ba. And it's on the Top Deck label, just like the Ska Down Jamaica Way series.
What year did that come out?
That's a good question. Let me see here. It was February 1966.
Nice.
The difference between the Yapp Brothers as producers and, say, your Coxsone Dodd or your Reed would be when you went to do a session at Studio One or for Treasure Isle, you came and rehearsed and they just started recording. Boom, they did it because they didn't waste time. But
no, time is money. And that's a lot of something a lot of these guys didn't have.
The Yapp Brothers, who did this album and ran their Top Deck label, like Skaboo Da Ba was the release from the Scatolites, they would actually let the musicians rehearse before they recorded. And so I don't know if it was that reason or what, but I really like the sound of ska on Skaboo Da Ba. That's probably my favorite one. My last Scatolites compilation that I'll show you is Foundation Ska, which is another Heartbeat compilation, Heartbeat Records from those times. 32 songs, double disc set.
Nice.
And then you had other bands that weren't the Scatolites that were doing ska, like Carlos Malcolm had his band, he built himself as Carlos Malcolm and his Afro-Jamaican Rhythms. Can you guys see this one? This is ska band.
Nice.
Not as funky as the Scatolites, but still really good ska and really good original Jamaican ska.
All right. So we touched on that. I tried to go through some of the Mento stuff quickly because it's a lot, and that's only like a portion of like what I have. But that's gonna bring us. I wanted to do this in 4 parts. I don't know if we're gonna be successful doing it in 4 parts, but we wanted to cover the Mento and the ska stuff in this episode here, and then we want to do like rock steady into early reggae for whenever we do the second one, and then the third being roots and dub. And the fourth, maybe breaking down Dancehall from 79 to, in 4 waves. 79 to 84, and then like 85 to like 95, and then, have one for the early 2000s, and then one that's would be more contemporary. And then the two big waves of modern roots. Being the first wave being in the early 2000s, and the second wave being around 2008 to 2000 or 2010, I guess, to 2020 for the modern roots. But that's our rough thought, our rough play on that. I guess that will bring us up to about the few years of rock steady, right?
Do you want me to do a little survey on Jamaican jazz, or?
Yeah, do that.
Okay, so a lot of Jamaican musicians went on to make names for themselves in the jazz world. People like Ernest Ranglin, who started out as a guitarist for the Scatolites, or even before that era, but later on, went on to become internationally acclaimed as a guitar player. I pulled his Sounds of Power album, which is him extemporizing over Jamaican rhythms, not necessarily from the early '60s, but
it's a good one.
Yeah. I also pulled Ernest Ranglin's Below the Baseline album, which launched Island's subdivision called Jazz Jamaica, and which also features, other Jamaican master musicians such as Roland Alfonso and Monty Alexander. And this album, Below the Baseline, is neat because they take, 70s root songs like Congo Man Chant, and they do it in a completely jazz,
like a jazz way.
Yeah, they do King Tubby Meet the Rockers in that style. I mean, it's just an album that it's far from elevator music, but something definitely to be checked out by fans of Jamaican music. Absolutely. After the period of ska, I think around 1965, early 65, it's still ska, but the fast tempos are starting to slow down, and you're getting more emphasis on the rhythm. And, then you're entering what I guess you'd call it the Rude Boy period, Rude Boy records, with Rude Boy groups like the Clarion-Donians, the early Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Mm-hmm.
Look at stuff like early Peter Tosh material, like I'm the Toughest, or Rudy Bam Bam. You have the Maytals in that period. You have Alton Ellis, Prince Buster with Judge Dredd, Desmond Decker, Derek Morgan, the early Slim Smith, like New Boss, the early Alton Ellis stuff. I have a CD called Cry Tough, which was put out by Heartbeat in the 90s, but it's based on Mr. Soul of Jamaica, which is a Jamaican release.
Yeah, and I got the Mr. Soul of Jamaica right here. This is a massive set of 40 tracks. Let's see the insert. But we'll talk more about the Rocksteady and the Rude Boys and the very, very, very early reggae. How that came about, because early reggae is a little bit different than when they really got going. I think reggae was pretty different in the early 70s and than what it was in the mid 70s, because the rhythm changed.
Yeah, everything. Definitely, there's a lot of developments with Jamaican music in that period, which is going to be fun to go over.
Yeah,
it's nice to be able to geek out over Jamaican music. I like it.
it is, man. And in this episode we went through it. We went through it in a breakneck pace.
No kidding. Yeah, we did go pretty fast, didn't we?
We did. I'm very surprised, because I was worried that we were gonna it was gonna be a 2-hour episode or something.
Yeah, because if you talked about all your Mento recordings, we'd still be talking about Mento right now. I'm sure.
It would be too long. But I'm happy with the episode, and we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna wrap it up.
All right.
And we're going to we'll see you with the next one. Hopefully in about a week.
Sounds good. Get ready to rock steady.
Yeah.
So signing off for me. See you guys next week. Zip, zam, bowie, and swoosh.